Hello and welcome back to A Method to the Madness, Breaking Bad edition. I'm your host, Patrick. Joining me is Mitchie.
Hello.
And today we are covering Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 1. What's the title? Live, Free, or Die.
Yeah, with reference to that crazy-ass number plate. What do you call that shit? Like a quote on a number plate, like a saying for that state.
Oh, right. Okay. Is it of Albuquerque or something?
No. New Hampshire.
Oh, right. Okay.
Anyway, their adage or whatever you'd call it is live free or die, which is like a pretty full-on thing to put on a number plate. I mean, it's America though. Like that's how they live their life.
Yeah,
live free or die.
Constantly at gunpoint.
Yeah.
So you gotta have that. You gotta have that state of mind. All right.
Their freedom is constantly under threat.
Yeah. This is the first episode of the final season, and oh man, oh boy, does shit start picking up. We're entering a whole new world, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty different. It's we'll get into it. Let's go into a plot summary.
Sorry, before that, is it?
Yeah.
It's sort of one season, but to me, I view it as two seasons.
They did split it up into two seasons.
And how many episodes is it total? Isn't it like 8 each or something? Yeah, so it's kind of like almost big enough to be two seasons. So it's sort of like the end. It's like, yeah, we are starting the last season, but we've actually got quite a lot of episodes left, I suppose. It's not like, your usual 9 to 12 episodes. It's like 16, so.
Right. I mean, it's probably roughly the same amount as Better Call Saul, which is 6 seasons, 10 episodes per season, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into a plot summary.
Okay. The episode starts with a flash forward to Walt in a restaurant on his 52nd birthday. Walt illegally purchases a machine gun off his arms dealer, which is hidden inside the trunk of a car. In the present, Walt disposes of any evidence connecting him to Gus's killing and Brock's poisoning. Skylar tries not to speak to Walt, explaining that she is now scared of him. Walt suddenly remembers the surveillance cameras that Gus installed in the super lab, realizing that the footage Gus may have collected could incriminate him. The following day, Mike learns of Gus's death and drives back to New Mexico in a rage. He comes across Walt and Jesse and is prepared to kill Walt, but Walt and Jesse convince Mike that Gus's laptop needs to be dealt with, which has been seized by police as evidence. Mike advises that they all leave the city as soon as possible, as the police will find them in the lab camera footage. However, Jesse and Walt concoct a plan to use an industrial electromagnet to destroy the laptop from outside the police building. They pull it off despite being forced to abandon the truck at the police station. As they drive away, Walt defies Mike's doubts that everything has been settled. Meanwhile, Saul approaches Skylar at the car wash and tells her that Ted survived the injury from his encounter with Patrick and Huell. Skylar visits Ted in the hospital and finds that he has been fitted with a spinal brace. An intimidated Ted tells her that he will remain silent about what caused his injury. Elsewhere, Walt argues with Saul about the lawyer's failure to inform him about Skylar's bailout to Ted. It is revealed that Huell was told to pickpocket Jesse's ricin cigarette, which is why Jesse believed it was lost. Saul presents the cigarette to Walt in a plastic bag, remarking that he had no idea Walt was going to poison Brock in the service of killing Gus. Saul tries to end his and Walt's business relationship, but Walt threateningly tells him, "We're done when I say we're done." End of episode.
All
right.
Okay, so yeah, this episode right from the get-go. Well, okay, first of all, we start with flash forward of Walt's after he's on his way back from wherever he got sent, that snowy place. I'm assuming it's Alaska.
Yeah, it is Alaska.
Yeah. And he's having breakfast at that place, and then it's on his 52nd birthday, which, I mean, don't we learn in a bit that this all happened in less than a year?
Yeah, because he was 50 in the first episode, right?
Yeah, and then in a couple episodes, that's where he has this like 51st birthday. And then he spends almost just as long in Alaska. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to get that time perspective. Like,
100%.
It is like in the first episodes how he says that change is, it's like a volatile chemical reaction. It all happened so fast, so much change so quickly, and then kind of died down afterwards.
Yeah,
but anyway, sorry.
Walt takes like a year to become like a murderer, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's quick or not, Like, yeah.
Yeah, true. I feel like it's pretty quick.
Yeah, it is a little quick.
Yeah. Anyway, it's we have a destination is the point, I guess.
And we also have a return of like the flash forwarding technique, because we haven't seen one in a while.
Season 2 was the only one I can think of, right?
Yeah. In fact, is it only season 2? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so we got a nice sense of foreboding. And then it does the season 1 and 2 bridge thing where it picks up immediately where it left off, which is pretty cool. And and then the rest of the episode, Walt has just turned into a straight up villain in this final season. So we start off seeing this with him and Skylar's relationship. Skylar is terrified of Walt. And yeah, man, by the end, it turns into like a full on, like, it is an abusive relationship. Walt never hit Skylar, but it's still, I'd say, classify that as like, intimidation, or like, I don't know. Walt says to Skylar, "I forgive you," regarding her spending the money on to pay Ted's bills. That was and shit.
Fucking nasty.
Yeah, I know. How sinister is that?
Yeah. He's so threatening now.
Yeah. He threatens Saul. Like physically. Saul was cowering.
Dude, I felt so sorry for him. He looks legitimately so fucking scared. Like, he's just looking at the ground at his feet while Walt's walking up to him. It's like, man, like, Walt is seriously like proper showing his dominance here, but in like a really nasty way. Yeah.
It's interesting because we get the perspective of Walt and see how that progressed, but from the perspective of these characters, they just see Walt intermittently, and every time, and you know that he's probably, killed more people. That's probably what Saul knows, right? Is just that Walt is just, every time he meets Walt, he's just killed more people. And like, you would be that fucking scared of him. Like, it's not like Walt can, has like a knife or a gun on him at that point, but you don't, fuck you, man, you don't want to cross him, eh?
Yeah, no, you don't.
So you totally understand what Saul is thinking at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like throughout the episode, just like how when Mike says, how do we know the laptop got destroyed? And then Walt replies with, "'Cause I say so."
Yeah. Like, he's changed so much.
Yeah.
Already immediately, like within the first episode.
Yeah. It's so different from every other season combined, even, I reckon. Like, it's crazy. And that was Vince Gilligan's initial elevator pitch for this show, is that he said he wanted to turn Mr. Rogers into Scarface, and this is it. We're at the Scarface point. And it's awesome. I mean, it's terrifying, but it's also awesome. As a TV show, obviously. I mean, if this wouldn't be awesome if this happened in real life, but
yeah, no. I like how, so when we transitioned from season 1 to season 2, there almost wasn't really a transition. It was just a continuation of the plots of what was going on in season 1, just morphed into season 2, right? You know, like particularly with the end with Chuko and all that. And this episode sort of does the same thing, where we start off after obviously a flash forward with Skylar talking on the phone with Walt, which is exactly what happened in like just in the previous episode. So like kind of repeating a scene, I guess, and then continuing that scene for the start of this season.
Mm-hmm.
Except in season 1 to 2, you had like so much more going on, and it was feasible to do that. But this time you kind of like where do you continue from this? It's just like Gus is dead. Walt says he's done. It's just very unusual to directly continue a season after that. Like, I would have expected the first time watching this season, when it was just releasing, right, that they would just like cut forward a few months or something like that. Because everything's finalized, and you're just like, what the fuck is going to happen then if we're just continuing immediately after season 4 episode 13? But then it just works because Walt just thinks of this laptop, and immediately straight away we've got like, okay, well, this isn't done yet. Like, the lab's been destroyed. Gus is dead, but we've still got this laptop to deal with, which obviously introduces then a lot of other things that need to be dealt with too. But I just thought it's just such a great thing to just add in to keep the fuel burning, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
I 100% agree. Yeah. Just from like my intuition of having watched, a lot of, movies and TV shows. Yeah. I would have also just assumed that it would, just start like maybe 3 months later, after they've had like a period of quiet or something like that, because it did wrap up so nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's so genius having the laptop as this.
I know.
What do you call it? Like a catalyst for this new story.
Yeah, it's like cutting it and leaving it a few months in the plot is like beta quality TV show shit. Breaking Bad's nah, fuck this. We're gonna continue on immediately where we left off, and we're gonna have a reason for it. It's so good.
And I love this. How Walt, he's trying to pour himself a drink to celebrate his victory. Yeah. And then he remembers something, and then he goes again, and he remembers something else, and then when he finally sits down to drink it, and then he takes a sip, and then he stands up because he remembers the laptop.
Yeah.
And then they got this new problem, and what a creative fucking solution this is. Like, talk about like writing yourself into like a corner. That's something often that big TV shows do. Like, I don't know, think of Game of Thrones or something like that. Maybe it's like they had so much to resolve White Walkers. The Daenerys and Cersei thing, and that's what you call like writing themselves into a corner. Like they had to make up some bullshit like solution, and pretty much it just feels it just doesn't feel good. And so that's something that writers try to avoid, is putting themselves into that situation in the first place. So when you hear, when Mike gives that explanation of like it's in police evidence locker, it's guarded 24 hours a day, it's the most like secure place you could ever think of, and it's like, fuck, man, like how would you get it out of there? And then they come up with this solution to put a giant magnet in a truck, and dude, it's just so clever. It's so awesome.
It's cool. It's I think this is one of my more iconic scenes, just the whole police department magnet like scene. Like that was just fucking awesome.
Yeah. I love when they're testing it out, and then it works, and then there's the two guys in the background who are like obviously like the engineers or something, and they like fist bump. Yeah. Because they're like, fuck yeah, it worked.
And we get the return of that mechanic from season 2 or 3. Remember how he was the one that was trying to like tell Hank to fuck off when he was trying to get in the van, and this dude is just like he just seems like this like ordinary mechanic working at a scrapyard, but he's like so intelligent. He just knows so much shit, and he's just talking to Walt about how they hooked this battery up, and just seems like such an intelligent bloke.
He's very intelligent. And I love how when because Jesse comes up with the solution, right? He's trying so hard to get his opinion heard when Walt and Mike are arguing, and then when they actually do give him like a moment to speak, the best he can do is like imitate the laptop going into the magnet and exploding. Like, he can't describe it. But it does work, so there you go, props to him. And then also we get, this is the start of the trio of Mike, Gus and Jesse. Really good chemistry between these two, and I like how Jesse is sort of the glue holding these guys together, because Mike and Jesse have a good standing, and obviously Jesse and Walt too as well,
but not Mike and Walt.
And then they got some friction there. So entertaining to watch. Mike and Walt butting heads is just like such a good, I know they just bring out the absolute like best in each other in terms of like bringing up points and like arguing about how to be a good criminal. Because they both have like experience, like different, their experiences are about in different fields of how to be a criminal. I don't know, it's just very entertaining to watch.
Honestly, it's great.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this episode, which is just a good setup for the rest of the season.
Good intro. One thing, R.I.P. Ted Beneke. Bro,
he's not dead.
Yeah, I know, but he fucking might as well be. Like, geez, he's fucked. Like, can you believe that? Like, tripping over in your own kitchen, and then you end up in like some, like he's in this, this spine brace thing, whatever you call it, and he just looks so gaunt and fucked. Like, the poor bloke.
And it's the last time we see him too.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, right? Like, that's it for the rest of Breaking Bad. Like, that's the last shot of him sitting there with his silly brace on. That's it for Ted Beneke. It's kind of like really bizarre.
It's pretty fucked. Like,
yeah, poor bloke.
Should have paid that back to the IRS. This wouldn't have happened.
Yep, he shouldn't have been a dickhead.
That's the lesson you should take away from this.
Exactly.
As he's a quadriplegic for the rest of his life. That's what he should learn.
Yeah. Don't evade tax, boys and girls. That's what will happen to you. All right.
Thanks for listening, and join us next episode.
See ya.
Describe the building. Describe. How about I describe Fort Knox? And what are you gonna do? Are you gonna put on your black leotard and go dangling on a clothesline? It's a building full of cops. What else do you need to know? And why in the hell am I talking to you?
Mike, we gotta do something.
I am doing something.
He's good with this stuff, okay? Just give him a chance.
Hey, look, that laptop might as well be on the moon. They build these evidence rooms like bank vaults because guess what? Lunatics like you want to break into them.
If you like this series, Mitch is going to tell you where you can find more of these.
Yep, so you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. And we've also got a website, amttm.com, where you can find our fabulous episodes on Breaking Bad.
If you have any questions, queries, insights, or criticism, you can send them to mail@amttm.com.
And as always, thank you for listening.